The Wi-Fi just going in and out. I drive and I go from section to section, and they just cut out. You know what I mean? And they measure me and everything and like that. And I remember thinking, boy, I don't measure up. Hey, I know, man. I ain't like these big fellas and everything. And that affected my sexuality. That brought me. I was cloaked in shame. That was a wound, my friend. That was a wound. And that was a wound I was to carry for the next 50 years of my life. I was to carry that wound. I was to carry that shame. I was to carry that point that I don't measure up to other men. I was to carry that point that I'm just a little boy and the world is bigger than me and men are bigger than me and men are stronger than me and I could be held down by somebody and I don't have no power. They emasculated and took my power away, and that became a wound. And it was a woundedness. So from then on, every time I get in a situation and I was around a group of men, I didn't trust the situation. I didn't trust the environment. Okay? I didn't trust it at all. I didn't trust nobody. Okay? That was a pain. That was a scab and a wound that was there forever. You know what I mean? But guess what? Today I want to tell you this. That's one example of a wound. I have other wounds. I have father wounds. I have wounds from my mother. I have wounds from my grandfather and my grandmother. I have wounds from the neighborhood I grew up. I have wounds from the boys. I have wounds from the girls that I grew up with. All of these wounds were tied to sexuality. It's tied in some way to my feelings of measure up, other people's opinions of me. And I ask you today, do you have these type of wounds? Are you hurting in this way? Okay, and I know I go in deep here, and I know I'm becoming real transparent and real vulnerable, and you might not even listen to this. You might not even acknowledge that you're watching this. You might watch this incognito like some of my friends do. But I'm saying all of this is that you have a deep wound. And my point is that this deep wound affected all my relationships, affected the over 40-something women I slept with, and the 3 women that I've married with, and the numerous women I had a sweetheart with, and the women that I had incestuous relationships with, and the women that I had one-night stands with. This all affected everything in my life. And today I'm just saying that maybe this affects you. I'm just asking you to think today, what is your wound? I want you to get a pen. I want you to get paper and begin to write down 5 of your most embarrassing moments that you have with other people. It could be with your mom, it could be with your dad, it could be with your brothers and sisters, it could be with your nieces and nephews, it could be the shame from your family. 5 shameful moments. And I want to let you know that these shameful moments also have an impact on your sexuality, have an impact on the drug that you use to anesthetize the pain and to medicate the pain in your life, okay? And I want to invite you today, as you write those down, I want you to begin to pray about those wounds and to pray about the pain and to pray about why you can't open up and talk and to pray about the intimacy anorexia that you're experiencing. I want you to know that God can heal you in this area. But the first step is to acknowledge it. But write down those 5 circumstances and situations of shame and guilt, things that keep you in bondage. You can't open your mouth. You just get numb. And it's still a wound. It's covered with a scab. It looks good. You got makeup on it. You got it all bandaged up and everything. But when someone bumps up against that, you explode. When somebody bumps up against that, you need to try to deal with that and somehow. So right now, my wife's trying to call me, so I got to get off of this, okay? But I know that God is calling us to healing today. And I'm going to continue this conversation tomorrow. I want to talk about accessing the deep wound. I want you to look up the definition of what a wound is. I want you to look up the definition of accessing. And that means to get into, to open up. And perchance your heart needs to be open again. You need to feel again. You need to experience again. You need to understand again the hurt and the pain and acknowledge the fact that you have a wound. Okay? Don't cloak yourself in denial. Don't cloak yourself in and just sloughing it off and just say, there's a crazy guy talking with a beard and all this other stuff. Hey, I'm almost 60 years old and I've been living and I've been through a lot of pain. A lot of wonderful things happen in my life. So don't just think this addiction is all my life. Hey, I look perfect and beautiful on the outside. I've got a beautiful wife. I have a beautiful life. I've had wonderful things. I have great blessings. But I can sabotage myself immediately and quickly, just like Harvey Weinstein did. You see, the light's going to come on one day, and I'm going to be exposed one day. But when I'm exposed this time, it's going to be the truth. It's going to be that my story's told. You see, like one mentor of mine says, all the stories, a lot of us, you go to the graveyard, that's where you find the unwritten books. That's where you find the secrets. That's where you find everything hiding out. And God wanted those stories to be told so people could go free and people could be delivered. So I want you to begin to call somebody today and say, hey, I got a wound. And I trust you, and I want to tell you something. I don't want to keep any more secrets. I want to come out of the closet of life, and I want to begin to talk about my sexuality. I want to begin to talk about my impure thoughts. I want to begin to talk about the hurt and the pain I've caused people, the women that I've hurt, starting from a teenager. Man, have you done a sexual inventory yet and just written down all the names? And if you don't remember no names, write down the circumstance. If you don't remember the circumstance, whatever it is, I just want you to know today, you got to begin to look. You need a thorough moral inventory in the sexual way of your sexual life. And I begin here, you begin to find that you struggle. But as you begin to understand the wound and the hurt and the pain, God is going to do something good. I got to go. My wife is calling me. Have a great day. I'll be praying for you tonight, and I'm back at you tomorrow. Okay, that's